What up, boys, and welcome back to another Shadowlands video. So in this video we're going to talk about specifically my setup on my farming druid. It's like one of the most asked questions whenever I live stream, because I usually lately at least I've been live streaming a lot of solo content where I've been doing skinning routes and so on. So I've been getting tons of questions like, what spec do I have, what item level do I have, how do I manage to pull so many mobs, and so on. So I decided to make a video on that, and hopefully it's going to help a couple of you guys to clear everything out. So the most famous farm, or the best farm, most frequent farm that I've been doing lately is this one on the screen right here, which is referred to as the reindeer route. And it's really good because you get a shit ton of leather. It has great density. So on top of all the skinning for the leather that you get, you also get a ton of meat. And you get like the most valuable meat in the game, the ribs and the creeping crawler meat. However, some of the pulls are really big, and not all classes can do it efficiently, and not even everyone on efficient classes can do it efficiently. So that's why I wanted to make this video, just to show you guys what I do, how I farm, what kind of gear I have. And keep in mind that I did do this farm almost as efficiently as you guys can see on the screen, even when I had worse gear. So it's really, as you can see on the screen right now, there's no limit to how many mobs I can pull because of the way that I've set up my toon. I can pretty much pull unlimited amount of mobs. I wish that was the case. The density is not there for me to pull more mobs than I already do. But let's go into like the setup of my toon. Obviously, a druid is my favorite class, and I think something like this, it's really hard to beat a druid in this specific format of farming, and in many other formats, because like a druid, if you're not doing solo skinning on a guardian toon, you can have druids in 2x4 where they're extremely good. They have all the pulling power, they got mobility, and they can even deal damage with Starfall imbalance spec while pulling. So overall, it's no secret, like Druid is my favorite class, and the best farmer class in my opinion. But we're gonna dive more into the way that I farm with skinning right now. So my item level is 183, and we're not gonna go into details to every piece that I have on gear, right? As I said, like I managed to do this almost as efficiently with worse gear. So on this one specifically, we have some of the legendaries, right, that are viable. I'm personally using the Legacy of the Sleeper, which gives me 25% increased damage in Berserk. And when I'm in Berserk, I also gain 15% Leech. And I think this is an extremely good legendary, if not the best, for this specific type of farming, because you always want to use your cooldowns whenever they're good to go. I see a lot of people farming and they're like saving their cooldowns until they kind of need them. But you always want to use your cooldowns whenever they're ready to efficiently kill the mobs. Kill them as fast as possible so you can skin them and move over to the next amount of mob, like the next groups of mobs, as fast as possible. So this makes me usually whenever I pull like 10, 15, 20 mobs, and then I use Berserk, right? And then on the next pull that I do, Berserk is obviously going to be on cooldown, and that's when I use Convoke of the Spirits. And then on the next pull again, my Berserk is going to be ready. So a lot of my damage and my pulls are dependent on Berserk, which makes this legendary, for me, extremely good. However, there's other options too, other options that I think is great. Like this one right here, Trash has a 15% chance to trigger an additional Trash, and you also get an Absorb Shield that absorbs 75% of all damage it deals, which means that it's great because it also gives you some defensiveness, right? Like you guys can sustain more damage with this one. So if you have worse gear, then it's definitely an option to look into. And I would also look into, let me see, where is it? This one as well. I like this one too. This is 20% increased damage on Trash. Pretty much when you use Berserk, the only thing you're casting is Trash, because you want to AoE him down. So my legendary gives me 25% increased damage. This one gives you 20, but it also stacks an additional time, which is nice. However, the mobs, they tend to die relatively fast, so you're not going to get that much benefit from an additional stack on your Trash, though. But the radius is also good. It really is. So that comes legendary. I personally think this one is the best, but I understand some of you guys have different legendaries because you're doing like PvE or PvP or whatnot. But if you have a toon that is meant specifically for farming and you want to dive into the skinning game, which I think is going to be viable for a very long time, then at least consider getting the Legacy of the Sleeper, this one right here. It also reduces the cooldown, so makes it so that I can constantly have either Convoke or Berserk on each one of my pulls. Besides from that, gear-wise, I do have this one, which is originally a casting trinket, but it sends out this like this small little nasty fucker, and he just runs into the mobs like Suicide, and he AoEs all the mobs. So it's great for AoE. So definitely, if you can pick this one up, it does give you it's a caster trinket originally, but it works great on my balance druid. And also make sure to get the Lightless Force, which has a chance of sending, dealing AoE damage in front of you. Absolutely great for farming, even if you farm like a Protection Paladin, which I've seen some people do in this farm. It's a great, great enchant to have on your weapon. And then I also have this one, which is just stupidly OP. A use says just question mark, question mark, question mark. It has multiple different uses, but it gives you something like 500. Actually, let's take a look at it right now. Yeah, 568. 568 versatility increased, right? Which just increases my damage. It can also give you 568 mastery or 568 haste. It's an insane trinket. It really helps me to burst down all of the mobs. So that's it for gear. When it comes to talents, there's a couple of routes you can go. I go with Brambles, and then I have Tiger Dash because I like to use Tiger Dash in between the pulls to move faster. The most questionable or debated one is the affinities. I go with Resto Affinity just because I never want to heal. I never want to take 2 seconds to cast Regrowth or anything. So this one heals me for 3% of my max health. So in between every single pull, I'm pretty much max health by the time that I've finished skinning the mobs. And if I'm not, I'm just gonna cast a Rejuvenation while I just sprint over to the next pack. Some people go Feral Affinity. The only thing it really does is increase your movement speed, right? That's what you wanted. However, that can be a bad thing, because when you're doing big pulls, like you can see me do in this video right here, like whenever you're doing big pulls, you want to make sure that the mobs are like on your ass, so you can constantly swipe the mobs, like I'm doing right here. Otherwise, the mobs are going to evade, they're going to run back. So increased movement speed is not necessarily a good thing, and I think just regular movement speed is works well enough on this one. So I know there's going to be some theory crafters in the comment section hating on me over the choices of talents. There always is. And then Balance Affinity, it's definitely, I think, a more viable option than Feral Affinity, because Balance Affinity, it increases the range or the radius of your spells, which can be quite nice when you're pulling and trying to have the mobs on you. So if Balance Affinity, Rest Affinity, I mean, all three of them really work. They do. This one doesn't really matter. Like, I really did trash talents. Then I use the Galactic Guardian. And then, like, I know some people use Incarn over Galactic Guardian, which I understand. I really do. I might actually change that one myself. I've really, there hasn't been any point, but I guess casting Incarn on a big pull, if I manage to do like super fast pulls and have both Convoke and Berserk on cooldown, could be nice. And then I got Survival of the Fittest, and then I have Rend and Tear, which is obvious. Trash is Bay. Definitely want to have that one. So that's it for talents and the gear that I have, and kind of like my thinking of how I farm with the Balance Druid. And I think Balance Druid is super overpowered. And if you guys have like a Warlock or a Priest, or even like something like a Mage as a main, and you want to get into farming, I see a lot of people thinking that it's too late right now to make like to level up their Druids and to farm under Druid. And I really don't think so. I think that skinning, everyone should have a class for skinning. It doesn't have to be a druid. You can have like a demon hunter or something, but I just think druid is the best option. And I think specifically, if you don't mind grinding skinning like me, I love it, then getting a druid right now, it's not too late. The gold per hour is still absolutely insane. The focus is on leather and on meat. And the meat is so much harder to get now than it was in BFA. So meat is going to hold its value, and just imagine when Mythic raids are out, like how often people will die. There's going to be a big need of food buffs, so meat is going to fly off the auction house like it is right now. And when it comes to leather, I really like what Blizzard did with like releasing each rank of the legendary weekly, because it's going to keep the value of all the materials like calcite and heavy calcite relatively high, and even spike on every single reset day. And when people have crafted their max rank legendary, they might want to, well, they definitely will work on their second legendary, and then their third legendary, and then the fourth legendary for different specs and everything. And then you also have the aspect of alts. People need the legendaries on their alts as well. So I think skinning is going to be extremely good for a very long time, and I don't think it's late to pick up skinning. So that's kind of what I do on my druid, like the setup for my druid to be able to do the skinning farms relatively efficiently. I pull good numbers on my guardian druid when I skin, and as I said, like I can't die. It's impossible to pull too many mobs on him, and I also kill the mobs relatively fast. So that was it for the video, and if you guys got any questions whatsoever, then please leave them down below in the comment section. Also want to mention that you guys can get the 0 to 10 million gold guide 50% off by simply typing the code Shadowlands into the discount field, and the link for that is going to be in the description and the top pinned comment. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, bye bye.